think this is working. We don't even have time. Actually, we do have time. But we don't have a holding screen because I don't have any of the correct assets. But I'm going to wait for people to trickle in here. And you just get to stare at a bunch of pinball games. If anyone is in here, please let your presence be known while we are waiting to get started, and I could chit-chat. It's the extra unprofessional stream day because I don't have Emoto with me, so get ready for Kyle quality stuff. Oh, look. All right, so people are here, so I did start the stream correctly. That's good. Hello, PinDaddy41 with the Cletus emote. How's it going? Old School EMs is here. Hey, aren't you supposed to be driving to the pinball show? Hey, can y'all let me know if sound is okay as well? I have ditched the microphone and now I have my lavalier mics again, so I just want to make sure they sound okay. Might need a boosted, just let me know. I will be going to get a beverage really quick while we wait for people to stream in and we can do some stuff. It is hot outside. I'll continue to talk because I did ask people to give me microphone suggestions. I hope that my microphone is doing its thing. I need that beverage. I also need that beverage. All right. Sounds good. Hello. I might be on camera now. Sounding good. My sound checks out. All right, cool. It's the 4 people I care about, so now we can just go. How can you reach Emoto? You can't reach. Well, you can't. Emoto's flight got canceled last night, so she just got to Washington now. But once you get into the hall, it's hard and also not hard to miss her because she's only about this tall. So you'll see her if you can find her. Cheers, Internet. Yes, in fact, I am wearing my Jack Danger hat. I just called you the Internet. So we are melding into the same person. How's it going? We're starting a little early because I think it's arbitrary to actually start at 3 o'clock. So we can just start whenever we feel like it. But I'll sit here and chit-chat with y'all while we wait for more folks to pile on into the stream. I'm really happy to be doing this again currently. It's been a long time, it feels like, since we've done this. It's always fun to actually get it in on time. Sad that friend of the show, Colin Baxter, is not here, but he has a job where he has to work and go do things. So. Yeah, Surf Champ. I'm excited to finish this game. Doing yard work, yeah. It's much too hot to actually do yard work here right now. We're in the like inhospitable portion of summer where, oh, Emoto will be all mad because she probably want this zoomed in. It's fine. It's like 98 degrees and like humid as hell, and it sucks. Actually, let's get a live weather reading. Other than me going outside and saying, God dang, it's hot. It's 95 degrees. Not very humid today, thankfully, but it's just still really damn hot. Ooh, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. That's nice. And then it'll get back up to 100-something degrees. But that's the cycle of weather in the South. It's really damn hot. It's humid as hell. All the humidity makes its way back up into the sky. You get like a day where it's just really hot and not humid, and then it dumps rain for 15 hours. And then it's really hot and humid for 6 or 7 days. Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf asks, time to bug you here since I'm not in the Discord anymore. Well, change that. No, I'm just kidding. How do I tell which height number 8 plastic snap-off standoff post I should go on my in-lane guide? I don't know what you're talking about, but what I'm gonna, I don't know how to tell. Look in the parts manual and see if they list those things out a little more granularly than they do in the actual game manual, but just always remember that ball in-lane guides are supposed to basically ride the center of the ball, and a ball's 1 1/16 inches tall, so you need a little bit of measuring here and there, and you can kind of figure out the right spacer. Rampomatic, hey, how's it going? Long time no talk. Pick the worst week to take off work and do a bunch of yard projects. Oof. Yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania gets pretty hot too. I know that, so I know I'm not alone in the miserable heat. I do need to do some more yard work. I don't mow my back lawn very much, and it's not grass. I hate grass. I detest grass. It's just lawn, right? Plants and flowers, and it's gorgeous, but I usually let it get like pretty bushy until like June, and then I cut it down just to let the bugs and the animals do their thing, you know. Generally, once the fireflies start to fade away here, I'll kind of mow it down a little bit. So, Pin Guy, hello. We're glad to see you here as well. Thanks for joining us today. 80s in Washington. Well, that's nice. I feel very British talking about the weather right now, but well, whatever. They love to talk about the weather. Hey, I've fixed some small problems with SurfChamp while I was kind of waiting for the stream to start, etc. I want to go over 1 or 2 things, just in case you guys remember some of the things that was going on last week. And I do have the correct spring, this little dude here, to, oh, I didn't realize that other camera was pointed that direction. Oh, okay. Hi, other version of me. Let me point that at the game. I forgot to fully set up the studio. We found that one of our relay, sequence bank relay armatures was actually missing the spring, which would make one of these guys like consistently be like awarded. So we'll take a look-see there. I think I've got the right spring. You ever listen to those shipping weather reports? No, I should. That sounds like something fun to sample and put in songs. Pave over your yard and paint it green. Nah, I like gardening too much, but I don't like wasteful gardening. I have some very beautiful decorative plants in the front yard, but and I'm gonna keep those. My house is it has a wide front porch and a very small like lawn, which I hate and I'd love to get rid of, and I might one day. But I have some kind of decorative shrubs, some hydrangeas, which are beautiful and happy. Another plant called a japonica, and they're insane. They have these huge green leaves. And then a gorgeous Japanese maple. But like my plan with the other portion of my yard, kind of like recessed past the porch, is just to do like sustainable, like natural, you know, plant sort of thing. So I did a service call for a lady who is a certified South Carolina master gardener, and part of her master gardener responsibilities is to actually come and give people advice on how to create more natural, sustainable gardens. So I want to do that in a portion. I know the first thing she's going to do is tell me to cut all of the crepe myrtle trees we have, but I don't want them, but I don't like cutting down happy trees. Anyway, sorry, gardening talk over. Top Pinhead, I have not put too many hours into this SurfChamp. I did a lot of work on it off camera before show season started, and basically all of the work I've been doing to this game has been within the 1.5 hours of actual working time on this stream. If I was actually doing this in the shop, like, you know, in and out sort of a thing, I mean, this is like a 3-day project, if that, you know. There was really not that much work to go into this, and right now, it's mostly just working out the rest of the small problems, and then, again, a little bit of cosmetic stuff I'll do off stream, like trying to get rid of some of the rust. Thank you for that link. I will check that out. Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf. Nice. Oh man, I think I should sell all my games like literally right now, just in case the prices do go dump through the roof. It seems like now is the insanity time. You don't gotta work. Just stay here. We're working together. Let's start working since Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf is going. Cheers. Okay, so let's talk about the one thing I did find that was curious. I'm going to change cameras here, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of moving of cameras. I didn't hook up the handheld camera here. So, oh crap, hold on. I want that to be that camera. And then I need to try turning that one on? Wait. Yeah. Okay. Oh, let me make sure that this camera here is also not, or so it's like on autofocus mode. Since Emoto is a master videographer, she's always controlling the cameras remotely, and she will turn them off of autofocus and focus them herself. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So. Okay, that might end up making this better. So, one of the first things I figured out today while I was kind of goofing off, waiting for it to be 3 o'clock, was figuring out why the out hole wouldn't fire. I don't know if y'all remember, we were kind of working on it a little bit, and the ball would drain and it would just sit in the out hole. There are a few things at work, right, where like an electromechanical computer kind of needs to know where it's at in a certain process to make something happen. So what goes on, right, is when the ball hits the out hole, this is probably going to be a poor explanation, but I'll try to be as like, you know, just conceptual instead of like nitty gritty. When the ball hits the out hole, that will trigger, I think in this game, it'll trigger the out hole relay to pull in. The out hole relay will pull on, you know, probably the motor, a few other relays to do certain things like countdown bonus. Let's step something to reset to get ready for the next player, etc. And as all of those things go, they're all giving signals to the game, you know, as the out hole relays in, it's going to start counting down the bonus. That's going to continue the motor running as this thing steps down, 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 down to count down the bonus. And what happened was is this thing would count down the bonus, and the motor would stop turning, but the ball would still sit in the out hole. What it ended up being, and I kind of figured it out pretty quick because this is a normal-ish Gottlieb thing, but I was just kind of sitting here like, I wonder what's going on. And I started wiggling the bonus countdown reel, and it fired the out hole. There is a switch, this switch stack here on the actual bonus unit itself. Again, remember the actual disc that turns on one of these stepper units those are really just for the lights. Everything else here is kind of like a start-stop sort of logic to tell the game what's going on. So when this thing, if you notice, right now we're at 0 bonus. When this thing steps up once, you can't really see it from this angle, but trust me, all of these switches just change states. There's a couple make-break switches, a couple switches that will now be open. And what's happening, right, is as the game steps up bonus, when you out-drain the ball and this thing starts counting down, it keeps going and going and going. Scoring points through a series of relays using the stuff in the back box. And once it gets to its final position, it changes those switches back to another state. So like if you think about it this way, like the game actually doesn't know how many points of bonus you have. It just continues adding the bonus up until this reports like, oh, hey, we're done. The last step of that entire thing after it resets all of the bonus is this switch at the very top is supposed to be making a nice, good, hey, I'm closed contact. Long story short, the reason the out hole wasn't firing is because this switch was kind of dirty. and the switches were not making super great contact. I cleaned that switch up. I made sure that the switches were trying to make as best as possible as like a nice, this kind of a kiss instead of a kind of awkward, corners touching sort of a connection. And now it's fine. The funny thing actually is this like in-lane trough switch on a Gottlieb game is what actually controls the change of players, etc. I'm going to just point to it again because I don't have the handheld set up right now. But when the whole ball return coil is what Gottlieb calls it, when it kicks, it sends the ball through the trough and it closes this switch. And the closure of that switch is what sends in motion to the back of the game to then step up one player or step up however many players it needs to get to the next actual player. So yeah, it's I was trying to figure out what the least whatchamacallit, like the path of least resistance, right? We're always looking for the simplest solution for a seemingly complex problem, and I kind of stumbled into that one. That one came with a little bit of prior knowledge, though, because I have had to fight with that before. It kicked my butt for a while, and then my old mentor came over. Is like, did you check the I'm done counting down bonus switch? Like, no, Chris, which one's that? It's like, that one. It just started working. It's like, great. But remember, you don't learn unless you struggle a little bit. So anyways, let us reattach this relay armature. What is a relay armature? This relay bank here, which is in its, I'd call it like a service position right now. I've got it swung down. This is 10, 12, whatever, X amount of relays that can be, obviously triggered independent of each other, but they can be reset by one simple coil. A relay is a pretty simple device. Let's look at one right here. Sorry if this is super basic for some of you, but let's make sure that we let all of the people who aren't sure of all this terminology be able to visualize what we're talking about. So this is a relay assembly. This is a very, very simple one. So you have a solenoid here. It's in a cage. Because of the way these are mounted, they're mounted on this, rails. So you've got this relay, this coil solenoid in a cage. This isn't a traditional solenoid like one that is hollow through the center to drive a plunger, but it does have a core. There is a metal core in here. And when this relay is energized, it will pull in this armature plate. This one has a switch actuator on it. So what we have here is one of the most simple ones of all time. It's just one switch. When this relay coil solenoid energizes, it pulls the armature towards the coil, and it closes one switch. That one's super simple. There's also much more complicated ones, which will pull in many switches. This one has 4 switches. So when this one solenoid energizes, it is going to change the states of 4 switches. I say change states because sometimes it will open switches, sometimes you'll have a make-break switch. So in one state, the switch is closed and the other switch is open. And when the solenoid energizes, it changes states, and the one that was used to be closed is now open, and the one that used to be open is now closed. So anyways, what I found here was we had one feature of the game that was never extinguishing, and we found that the relay plate was not installed. So that would mean the relay itself, which is this one, is always in its tripped state. So since it has no armature to snap in, it is always showing as this is awarded. So I should be able to finagle this armature plate back in. Let me get some tools that may or may not be useful. Man, y'all are quiet today. Am I still streaming? Or am I just so interesting that you're listening to every word I have to say? This is also why it's important to really kind of do when you get a game in, whether it's yours or it's in for service or something, to explore the bottom of the cabinet. You find all sorts of goodies. If I wasn't paying attention or I just went in there with a vacuum cleaner willy-nilly, I may have sucked this armature plate up, and then I would be sad because I'd have to find another one. Oh, there's everyone. So interesting that we're listening. I sense some sarcasm there, Mr. Kunzelman. Let's ensure that we have this installed the correct way. I just want to double check. Yes, so this side down. So again, these are solenoids that, or these relays here. They're different than like this type of relay. I don't know what these are called. We could probably come up with the name. Like maybe this could be like a momentary relay. As the game needs to hold it on, it will hold itself on. These are like a single fire relay, right? So in this case, these some of these are for rollover switches. So we will hit a rollover switch, and what happens is through the closure of this switch, it's probably I think they're direct wired. What happens is this switch closes, and with that switch closure, that will instantly fire that relay, which will pull this armature plate down, which releases this, and it trips. I think it's called a trip relay, maybe. I think that's what it's called. So this will instantly kind of crack down, and it's only energized for just a moment, driven by a switch. Where some of these relays, or especially a lot of the ones in the bottom panel of these games, they are meant to stay on for a prolonged period of time. You'll find that relays are wound in all sorts of crazy ways too. You know, some of them are like a 31 gauge wire wrapped 4,000 times around the bobbin. Definitely meant to be on for a long time. Very high resistance, meant to be actuated or activated for a long time without burning itself up. Where when you have like a flipper coil or maybe a very powerful coil like a 23-800, 23 gauge wire wrapped 800 times around the bobbin, if that was held on for a very long time, it would melt and it destroy itself. So relays are generally meant to be on for a long time, sometimes not. They're just meant to pull in one time to trigger some sort of an actuation. So these are pretty simple. You've got a spring that attaches to the actual armature, and then the other end of the spring attaches to the relay bank. Oh no, I'm making people fall asleep. Latching relay, thank you. Hello, Emoto. Doesn't flying suck? I hate flying, but I also love it because airplanes are really cool. This is going to be difficult because getting this spring in is going to be a little goofy. I'm really glad this is on the end because I do have some room to fiddle, but this is an assembly that is just really difficult to work on. Otherwise, let me see if I can come in from the side. This thing pivots inside this. Actually, shit. I mean, crap. Oop, docked myself some points there. I think I'll be able to get it in just fine. I just need to remember or try to figure out the most clever way of doing so. You can't come in from the side, because if we come in from the side, we end up causing ourselves problems. I think I'm going to have to do a little more work than I wanted to, but let's give it a shot. Have any of you guys ever owned, guys or gals, owned a dirt bike? Have you ever fought with really stiff springs on exhaust pipes? That is the only reason right now I'm confident enough to try and disconnect this spring. Pull out the actual trip. Now come in here, maybe have just enough room to squeeze this sucker into the bank. That's going to be such a pain in the butt. Reevaluating choices here. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to try it. You get the spring there. I'm going to get my hook, and I'm going to pull this spring up and onto its stay. Be careful when working with sharp pullers. There we go. Okay, so that one's on. Poor Emoto's stuck in the airport. Everyone send Emoto some positive vibes here for being stuck, having her flight canceled, getting stuck in the airport. One thing I really like about Gottlieb's stampings, it's funny, I mean, they really made sure to put their name on absolutely everything they could. Can you see that Gottlieb stamp right there? Pretty cool. This is going to suck to get back in. I might actually need to trade places with the camera just because that's going to be the most effective side to work on. I'm going to need to use some clever movements here. Okay, so this guy, this jerk needs to slide in like this. Now this thing is in the way. Get those little fingers inside. Now I could probably move this to its latched position too. Now I need to get in here with the spring hook. Oof. Oh, wish me luck. Okay. You know what? Actually, I want my bent screwdriver because that gives me a little bit more of something to push with. So I have to grab this hook and then or this spring and try to reattach the spring onto the plate that I removed to get the armature in. It's just awkward. My other problem right now is I can't see. I think all of the lights that I generally have in this building are unfortunately like going to Washington for the next pinball show because they didn't get unloaded. And I'm going to just reiterate, light is the most powerful tool in your toolbox. Oof. Oh, this is tough. The hook is kind of a deceptive tool. The hook seems great because you can hold on to things, but then the hook can also get in your way in the sense that like when you have to remove the hook from the spring, you do have to try to rotate it in a goofy manner sometime, which is what I'm struggling with right now. If this was on the bench, it would be much easier. Unfortunately, this is something that is extremely difficult to get onto the bench. I'd rather struggle with it for a little bit here. Let's see. Maybe I could try using the bent screwdriver instead of the pick. At least you're not in Atlanta. Yeah. Why would anyone want to be in Atlanta? God. Let's see. I'm just kidding. Atlanta's a neat place. Definitely don't like the traffic, though. Aha! Success. Now I need to make sure that it's actually on its hook, though. Oh, crap. I think I also have the actuator on the wrong side of the switches, like a big dummy. Oh, never, wait, hold on. Yeah. Well, I'd rather have that problem because at this point I can just unscrew the actual switches. But I did get it in there, so. The Atlanta airport sucks. I don't mind the Atlanta airport. You've got the plane train. I fly out of Atlanta a lot because it's the major Delta hub. So it's actually my most visited airport. It's huge, but at least it's not Phoenix. The Phoenix airport sucks because it's gigantic, and it's it's just so spread apart. And if you're on a quick connecting flight, it can be kind of nightmarish. Do be gentle and be careful with Gottlieb screws, especially ones used in relays, like this. I don't know if these ones are. These ones are not. These are number 6s. Or number 5s, I'm sorry. These are number 5s, which are pretty normal. Gottlieb did use number 3 screws, which is a very strange size for some other relays. No audio? No? Well, wait, did audio go out? Just you? Okay. Well, it's okay. We won't blame you. Things happen. You freak me out, though. That's a nightmare scenario. I hate audio problems. So what I'm doing here is I installed the actual trip armature on the wrong side of the switches, and that's annoying. But I am not. It's easier for me to remove the switches and correct their place than it is to try to wrestle with springs again. So I am going to very gently remove these switches and put them where they need to be. I don't want to bend them that extreme because that's a good way to damage or destroy parts. Spend a little bit more time, do it the long way so you don't damage stuff. I've learned that through working on so many devices, for whether it's pinball, motorcycles, or cars. You may think that, well, I don't want to take this apart because that's going to take a long time, and I could probably save time by, maybe trying it this way or something. And I tell you what, like, you generally end up having to take everything apart anyways once you realize your well-formulated, time-saving plan actually sucks, and you should have just done it the right way the first time. So. There we go. Get these nice and tight. Yeah, let me show you the number 3 screws also. They're very strange size that you'll never find at a hardware store. Like on these relays, the ones we were looking at earlier. You see those teeny little screw heads on this thing? That's a number 3 screw. So you'll find the real small ones on these banks a lot of the time. Be very careful with those. If you ever need to remove them for whatever reason, the smaller they are, the harder they are to find when they drop to the bottom of the game. Okay, so let's take a look at the work we just did too. Before I get to the chat, I see some messages here, and I'm happy to read them. So we've got the reset bank can now reset because the armature plate is there, and now we can simulate if the solenoid was to energize, it would pull the armature plate down and change the state of those switches. The last one there, ta-da. So I think these are for the 5 rollover lights on the playfield. So we've also, you think maybe some, so here's the other thing. A lot of the times with these banks, the furthest away from the coil one can be difficult to reset when you're doing it by hand, but this is a 110 volt coil. It's a real strong one. So sometimes you might go, hoo, 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 and it doesn't do anything. But some people may notice, like, hey, there's a relay coil missing here. What's wrong? There's actually, this bar here is attached to this trip armature, and it is held in place by all 5 of these actual relays. So with the programming of this sequence, right, when you hit the 5 rollovers in the middle, and I don't remember exactly what that does, it changes the value of the kickout hole or something. You'll notice that when I close 1, 2, 3, oops, here, let me get a better angle. We're looking right here. 4. So now we have 1 relay still held on, and this guy's still open. When this one closes, the sequence arm attached to this armature also closes, and that changes something else for some sort of a state. Generally, and actually I think all the time, everything attached to this sequence bank is essentially a once-a-game sort of events. So if we hit all 5 of those rollovers, and that makes the value of this super high, this is going to award us with something. But these will never change states until the game resets, and then the next ball, you get to do it all over again. So those are kind of like some of the things that the, again, the designers were also the, essentially the programmers, right, in this mechanical computer. So everything they'd put on a sequence bank is generally a one-time game action. Let's look at the chat. Sorry, I'm talking so much. Worst experience I ever had with the Atlanta tram was down. Elevators were down. Oh, God. Had like 10 minutes to go from one side clear to the other to make the plane. Yeah, that sucks. The tram is the saving factor in that airport for sure. Okay, good. Everyone says, no, everyone can hear me still. That's great. What? No, chat always has interesting things to say. That's honestly why I do this, because I get to hear about your guys' stuff and answer your questions. Delicious beverage. OK, so otherwise, I think it's time to kind of put this back together. And maybe we can actually do some above-the-head stuff. The other thing I wanted to do is, like, let's actually show how to remove the backlash on a Gottlieb game. I need to check all of the match lights to see if they're working, etc. So I want to show how that is done. I think I talked about this last time, but since we're working on this sequence bank now, let's make sure we attach it correctly and tightly, make sure they're square. If they are cockeyed or weird in these holders, again, it can cause weird things with the reset coil to reset all of these relays in unison. So right now, it is not in place. What you need to do is, I'll usually grab it from the actual coil here. You see how it just moved up a bit, right? We want to, yes, you see that? That's the position we don't want it in. Right now, I've got it really nice and tight up on the side where my hand is on the coil, but if I grab the bank safely here and push, look how much it moves up. Wait, oh crap, hold on. Let's try that again. I've got this side up in here now. If we try to move it up, we've got another, few millimeters of movement here. And generally on games that have maybe longer sequence banks or something like that, the problem is more pronounced, but I have been instructed by people way smarter than me to always make sure they're square and tight. So I'm going to get in here and turn these wing nuts until they are nice and tight. Excellent. You definitely don't want that thing swinging around in the game at all, so make sure it's good. All right. Let me see. The first ball relay has been getting latched on when you power up. And I don't think that's right. So I do need to figure out what could be causing that thing to be latched on. The game over relay should be latched on, I think. Or is, hold on, where's the tilt? Need to do just a little bit of double checking here. Anyways, let's start the game. I did install some new plastics on the game. Reproduction, new plastics. Remember, LEDs don't always translate super well on camera. This looks a lot more handsome in person than it does via this webcam. But I do install some GI LEDs on these games. Oh God, it looks so bad on this camera. To reduce heat, I actually might go in here and remove some LEDs and put some incandescents in some places. Most here, I don't like being able to see the LEDs in an EM, so I will probably change those out. But we will definitely also be installing LEDs in the back glass. It is much more important to install LEDs in the back glass to reduce the amount of heat behind that glass. Again, this game has survived its actual working life, right? Where it was on for 12 plus hours a day, every day. And that is where you'll see games degrade. Now it will be in someone's living room and they will enjoy it for a few hours a day, maybe a few days a month. But still, for future's sake, I do like to install some good LEDs. I don't have an apron in the game, so we're going to start it up now. We're going to reset all the score reels. All right. Player 4. Got a switch to adjust here. Definitely another thing you need to do before you send an EM pinball machine on its way is well, not only will do all functions in the game work, right? Like the intended rules, etc., scoring, but also being able to complete a full 4-player game. Colin Baxter, welcome to the chat room. We've missed you very much. So I'll try to intercept the ball before it hits the out hole, and I can kind of show you what I meant by this trough switch here. I guess I should point it at the game so you can kind of see the game as we play it not play it, I'm just going to kind of send the ball through its paces and see what's going on. The apron is off because I need to clean an old decal off of it. So now that we've drained, we're going to get into here, and it will count down the bonus, right? The out hole. So now that switch is touching, right? We counted down the bonus, that ding, ding, ding. It got down to 0, right? Past 1. And then that one little switch closed that said, hey, we're good, go to the next step. So if you notice here, if we look at the back glass, we are on ball 1. I need to set the exposure on that webcam manually or something. Now the out hole had just kicked, so it's waiting for this switch to close here. And as it passes over this switch, it is going to go to ball 2. It's not. It's actually still on ball 1. All right, cool. We do have some weird things going on with this game. Let's see if we can actually get it to advance to ball 2. It was advancing for me fine when I was playing it or messing around with the game up. I don't remember this problem being there last week. I do have the switch for the spinner deactivated so I can raise the playfield up and down. But let's get our 1,000 points of bonus here. Oh! Ball 3. Okay, so you see what happened here? I can tell what happened. Maybe some astute viewers will notice that we were actually scoring on that ball 2 on player 4's reel there. So that stepper is potentially misadjusted just a teeny bit, or it did not fully step 3 times, right? Because it's got a 16-step unit back there. Well, it has 16 useful steps. It'll step many more times than that, but remember, I've done this a million times. The first thing is the first 4 rivets is ball 1, player 1, ball 2, player 1, ball 3, player 1, player 4, ball 1. Just reverse what I just said. And what it did when I hit that switch we were talking about, oh, look, I just did it again. It will step that stepper in the back past player 2, 3, 4, back to 1. So if we were playing in a 4-player game, right, it would just step 1 time, and then player 2 starts getting points, player 3 starts getting points, player 4 starts getting points, and then on that 5th step, it'll go up back to player 1, 1 more advance to get to ball 2, player 1. These sorts of bugs can dead flip. What's up, Jack? Remember how I told you I was going to replace this hat that you gave me? I got you. It's on its way. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. These sorts of problems can work themselves out sometimes. We've definitely serviced that stepper unit in the back. Definitely want to double check. Sometimes reassembling that unit, you can get things off a teeny bit. But also, this game is finally getting its first, its first games through it in decades, right? So sometimes these things will solve themselves. What I'm going to do here really quick, no voice, I am going to restart the game. We're going to start a 4-player game. OK, and I do need to fix that score reel back here. All right, ball 1, player 1. We're going to start a 2, 3, 4-player game. So our stepper down here, hey, don't start fights with Jack. We're both tall dudes. We both deserve tall dude credit. Let's just see. We will advance to this portion of the step before I teach you all how to remove the backlash and take things out. But the nice thing is now we've just tested all 4 of those lights work. That's good. That's one thing we definitely wanted to do. Let's get some points on all 4 players. I'll run it through its 5 balls, and then we will start a new game. I do know that I need to adjust the switch for the 10,000s on player 4. But this is also a way to make sure that all of the score reels will continue, or will be able to reset when we start a new game. So it's going to be noisy, but what I'd like to do is just get digits on all score reels, right? So I'm going to find the thing that scores the most, and I'm just going to spam it here. Nothing really scores that much in this game. What scores 1,000? Something has to score 1,000. Come on. Why, Gottlieb? Why? I guess if we hit all of these, this thing starts. OK, that's not working. That one is for one of those trip banks. We need to look at that. That also didn't score. OK, there it goes. See, again, remember, we're trying to work the bugs out. So sometimes trying to get relays that haven't been functioning to function, we'll start to work some of those bugs out. It still doesn't work. All right, here's a problem. We're still scoring on player 1, but the player unit is on player 2. Weird. OK. Still on player 2. It definitely. I'm going to check this unit now because I feel like we're going to work against ourselves. If not, it is on the correct rivets. It does have enough free play to float. It doesn't look nasty. It's not covered in too much grease. That's one reason why whenever I say we're greasing steppers like this, to use as little grease as humanly possible, but we want some there to reduce that friction. Too much grease can cause the circuit not to actually close, right? So I might need to double check those horseshoes just in case they have too much grease on them. Remember, always think about the simple things before you jump to the most complex solution that you can come up with, because it's generally not the case. All right, so we are now scoring on player 2. That's good. Okay, so we didn't roll over to 10,000 there. Let's see if we can replicate that. Yep, OK, so I know how to fix that. Let's go. I'm going to move the camera to the back. Why not? Let's look at the score reels really quick. I think most people are familiar with the, I'm going to pull the game forward a little bit. I didn't use my long USB extenders today. Oopsie. We have the 10th position, 9th position rollover switch. So when the relay, when the score reel is on 9, it is going to show a certain way. Let me turn on this ring light. Maybe it'll help out a little. Here's our thousands unit for player 2. We'll remove the thousands unit. And we need to examine these switches up here. Now, again, I also think we realized that all of these things did reset, and we decided not to service the stepper units, or the score reels all in one go. Sometimes that bites you in the butt, like now. If I would have dedicated the 3 hours to cleaning all these score reels, taking them apart, greasing them, cleaning them, putting them back together, this wouldn't be a problem. But now we are needing to go back in and kind of do tactical strikes. So we're going to advance this. I'm going to just check the positions really quick, and then I'll try to find something teachable. OK, well, we're going to advance to 9. So now the end switch here should be closed. It is. Maybe it's dirty. Let us get in here with a flex stone and just clean those contacts up a teeny bit. And we'll also make sure that it is adjusted nice and tight up against the both sides of the switch. Ha! Hey, don't get in trouble because I'm sitting here making a bunch of noise while you're supposed to be working. That's not what I need. I have a guilty conscience. I'm going to get in here and just kind of, again, when we're cleaning switches, we want to go every angle, rotate the flex stone left and right, up and down, to make sure we clean all sides of the switch. They don't always make perfect, flat contact like that. Sometimes you'll make contact like this. And if you didn't clean that one side, but you sat there and scrubbed the face of it a ton, you're not going to have preferred results. So I'm also going to adjust this to be a little bit closer. That way we can ensure that it is going to touch nicely when they come together. The other side of that is you need to make sure that it is not adjusted too close, because then you will have difficulty actually getting the score reel to step up to 9, because there's a cam on the back of the actual reel that needs to rotate, which pushes this switch actuator. If it's too tight, it has to overcome way too much tension from the switch to actually step up to 9 cleanly, and that's when you have really sluggish score reels. So we've got 0. We have one switch closed at 0. We've got one switch. The middle switch is now closed on 1, which tells the game, hey, I am not at 0. That's all it says. They're used to reset. So this one's for reset. If it is showing I'm not at 0, it's going to keep stepping it until the bottom switch closes, which then says I'm at 0, continue, or stop trying to reset me. And 9, that closes. The problem is now I have it adjusted a little too close, so I think they're making contact. It needs to only be closed at the end position. Right now, I'm thinking that if I add 1,000 points, it might actually add 10,000 points at the same time. It does not. Let's see if I can get it to manually do that by actually putting pressure on it. It does not. Interesting. Let's adjust it correctly, and then we will figure out why it's actually not scoring 10,000 points. I actually might bust out my metal file here too. The surface still looks really tarnished and gross. I kind of want to run something a little more abrasive through it to try and take that crud off and have a nice shiny surface. So, three little passes. Take a look at the face. It's much cleaner now. Since we aren't supposed to be at 9, I will tension this switch out a teeny bit with my finger. And that actually might be in the perfect position now. 8 and 9. What we want to do is we want to see the long blade of the switch that gets actuated, not just kind of go, not like a nice little touch. We want it to really push into that switch so the stationary side bends up just a teeny bit, and that'll ensure we have nice contact. So I'm stepping it through one more time to see if I can see it make a strong kiss. It does. Okay. Let me go double check and find the 10,000 point scoring relay. Give me one moment as I step over to this Rush Premium, which is holding my schematic right now. Actually, wait, no. I think the 10,000 point drive is on the 1,000 point relay. Yeah, never mind. Give me a second as I try to figure this out. This is here's my problem with EMs is I need to think and not just say, which I can do with a lot of the newer games. So the 1,000 point relay is on 3D. So I'm going to move up to the top of the schematic. 3D, it's the L relay for the 1,000 points. L. Well, I guess the other way to look at it too is to look for the 10,000 point score reel. Sorry, one moment. Let me see if this problem exists on another player. Hello, Pinball Gramps. Welcome. I'm going to end this game, or player. I might need to check the switch that hits the relay to advance the player unit. Maybe it's not getting a good pulse either, because that was odd. It did not switch. Again, I caught it in the act again, right? We saw it not switch to player 3. I'm going to nail the relay back here for 1,000 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that rolls over. So I think there's a problem here with the actual third player unit. So now I think the problem does exist here, and I need to just inspect. Maybe it's still not as clean as I think. I mean, I could short that switch out. If I were to short the 9's rollover switch out, it should, in theory, always be adding 10,000 points and taking the switch out of the equation. So I'm going to advance it to player 4. Oh, hey, OK, there we go. I think the problem is actually with the stepper unit. It was a very sluggish movement there. Huh. I didn't put this on out, did I? I don't think I did. So player 1, player 2. You see how it stumbled there just a teeny bit? Did anyone catch that at the bottom of the screen? I need to look into that and see what could be causing that. Just double check everything one more time. So what I could do, since I don't want to go grab my alligator clips right now, I can just short these 2 tabs of this switch out using my file to do it, and I'm going to hit this relay. So in theory, I should have been getting 10,000 points there. I'm not. Is the 10,000 points real? Functional? Is it? Oh, hey now. Again, remember the Occam's razor thing? Look at everything before you start running around crazy. I can't get this to actuate at all. Ooh, it's just really sticky. Let's see if that changes now. There it goes. So it was just there was something caught up in the actuation here, and it just was not going. So let me proof of concept what I was trying to show you guys, though. Troubleshooting can really be brought down to taking as many things out of the equation as possible. And you could sit here and be like, well, I know how this works, so I'm going to sit here and file this switch until it decides to work. Well, the easy way to do that, right, is let's take the thing that we think could be the problem out of the equation. So a simple test here, like I said, is I'm going to use this file to short out the nines, the ninth position switches. I'm now going to hit this relay. And you see how both are moving at the same time? So the game's always thinking that it's on 9, which is why it's advancing the 10,000 point unit. I don't want to get too crazy into this right now because I do think that as I put the game through its paces, it is going to figure itself out. Remember, even though these are low voltage switches, as opposed to like a end of stroke switch, which handles 50 volts and you see them sparking and stuff, I mean, these things do actually, handle current. And when they sit for a long time, whether they're closed and they start to, corrode together, or they're open and they oxidize or something, sometimes sending those signals through these switches and they start to spark and, they move and rub against each other, the game will start to work more the more you mess with it. I always tell people, especially with electromechanical games, I mean, it is a truthism. The more you do not play it, the more problems you will cause to the game. The more you play the electromechanical games, the more the problems will be held at bay, if you will. I do notice a number 8 screw missing on the score reel here, so I'm going to see if I have a freebie in my screw pile. And if not, I need to go in and find one from my actual screw box. So anyways, did any of that I just blabbled off make any sense to you guys? Did not know you were on Twitch. I am on Twitch every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I have already cleaned all the stepper units, but I have never really put them through their paces, Dent0123. Daniel, hello. Old school EMs. Yes. I'll make sure that she gets it once the stream's over. Did you PM me on Twitch or did you PM me on Discord? Either way, I'll make sure that she gets it to you. I assume it's because you need to go do your volunteering, etc. So I'm happy that you'll be helping them set up at the show. Okay, that beverage is delicious. I'm going to find that screw, and then we are going to continue putting this game through its paces. I'll just use one of these screws. Actually, wait, these ones aren't supposed to have washers, are they? Yeah, okay, I'll find a screw in my screw box. I don't know what those screws came from. Oh, I think these are from the apron. I do need to clean that apron, but I'm not going to give you fingernail scraping decal content for you fingernail lovers out there. It's in Discord. Okay, man, cool. Yeah, I'll get that to Emoto, no worries. Definitely sad I won't be up at the show this weekend, but at the same time, I'm not sad because I am sick of airplanes. Let's see here. The handy dandy box of screws is the best tool you can carry around with you. I sure do have a ton of short number 6 screws, but I do not have any small-ish number 8 screws. Here's one. Look, when you're trying to refill your parts bins, I am immediately now going to go into my Notes app on my phone and write under my, where is it? Parts, short 832 SEMS, Defo 1
quarter. Got to use your own language here too. Gosh, I need to refill my box. I've got a bazillion things I need to add. And I've got a service call to do tomorrow. Oh, Old School EMs has Pogs. Thank you. Let me get this fastened. I'm just going to continue putting the game through its paces. I think that is going to be the best problem-solving bit I can do right now. So I think to move ahead to do something a little educational as well, we will be removing the backlash. So first, though, I do want to double-check this guy because during a multiplayer reset, this reel is not resetting. And I'm having to get in there and push this switch to get it to actually reset. So it's either dirty or it's just misadjusted. I mean, since we're here and I've got files, I mean, just hell. I'm going to run it through there real quick and try to deschmutz as best I can. And now I will actuate the, the camera's in a bad spot. I'll try to actuate the score reel and see what we can figure out. Right now it's on 0. So the bottom switch should be closed. Since this is the 10,000 digit, there's no 9 to roll over to. And while it's extra open, I'm going to get that same file again, and I'm just going to run, I'll pin the switch against the frame here and just really try to shine those contacts up. We don't want to scrub too hard because we really don't want to like decrease the thickness of the contacts, but that closes really heavily too. So anyways, we'll do 2 things before we take the back glass out. We'll bring the camera back around and we're just going to reset it again, start a new game, and I want to see all of the score reels kind of do something. I'm going to manually put it through players. Yeah, oh man, that one doesn't step too good. Let me add points. That's like a half step. Yeah, there's a lot of goofiness going on still. It's skipping player 4 or the switch for the lights is not closed. That's player 1. Okay, I'm going to have to look at that one. I should be able to add points to player 4 right now, right? Yeah. I did start a 4-player game, so anywho, little things to figure out there with player and ball handling logic. But let's restart the game and watch all these score reels reset. And if they don't, I need to make notes and figure out which ones I need to address. So the 10,000 is still being a pain in the butt. Okay, I see what it is. The I'm not on 0 switch, the one in the center, was misadjusted a teeny bit. There's 2 switches that are kind of shaped like a Y, and I saw arcing between 1. And what that is it's close, but it's not close enough. So I'm going to try to adjust them as close as possible. The light is not coming from player 4 on the back glass. Yes, so that is what I am unsure of. Or that was one thing that kind of gave me a what's going on here. I need a double check. The lights are controlled by 1 switch on the player unit, but I want to kind of get my wits about what's going on with the player unit before I start just getting in there and messing with stuff. So, but let's take the back glass out. I'm going to end this game naturally, so we get a match sequence. I'm going to kick the ball through here. Now it's set. That's weird. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need to fiddle with that. That worked. It's weird on ball 1. So maybe I also need to look at the coin unit, which is the how many players have put money into the game unit as well. Are we still in a game? The ball 5 light is out. Nope, there it came. Weird. Okay. Yeah. There's definitely something wrong between the player unit and the coin unit, so we'll be looking into that. Die Schmutz. Yeah, it's almost German. So how do we get back here and change bulbs? I'm going to step through the the match unit here really quick, and we're going to see if any of them are out. I think some are. I'm going to use the TV. So there's a couple that it's... What the heck was that? Oh, it's doing weird stuff. Unless I just stepped it to a match, maybe. I don't know. I do need to check the actual stepper, but there also could be 1 or 2 lights out. So how do you do that? There's no lift trim. There's no key to unlock. It's all through the back, right? So let's step to the back of the game really quick. I must also urge you a lot, if you are not comfortable handling your precious back glass and potentially irreplaceable back glass, do this with absolute care and caution. On a 4-player Gottlieb game, we've got this insert. This is called the insert latch here. You can pull the insert latch like this. Now the insert is going to fold backwards. So actually, hold on. Let's also make sure that this this small stepper, the miniature stepper, is back in position so it doesn't get squishified if the insert leads backwards. So hold it in place. It's going to come backwards and it will stop. There are 2 stoppers on either side of the cabinet. Get a little behind the scenes view here, but these guys here, there's one on each side. We can lean this sucker back. They are very heavy, so do this with care. I'm not going to remove the glass. I don't need to remove the glass. When the insert is in this position, thankfully this one, everything is easy to get to, but I can actually access all the lights. There are some games that are quite difficult to access all the lights without removing the back glass, so it tends to just be easier to remove it. We can see, the GI bulbs that are burnt out. We can see all of our match numbers here, the players 1 through 4 lights. These are the game over lights. This is ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking at the back glass. I'm cheating. But yeah, I want to get in here, and I definitely want to clean and clear up as much as I can. So I think I'm going to go grab a small handful of LEDs and start kind of hitting some of these. Game over should be lit right now. I'm sorry. Let me also get back to what we were kind of talking about. To remove the actual glass, at this point, very carefully, you will kind of get into the back of the game like this, and you can gently lift the glass out of the channel it's in the bottom here. And then you will eventually avoid these stops, which are in the top, and then you can bring it out. There is almost 0 reason on most games to remove the back glass, so do not just do it, unless you really have that situation where there are lights you cannot get to. There are a few games that are like that. Just be careful. This is a great service position. So I think what my basis here is I'm going to replace all the lamps that are out currently with LEDs, and that is the amount of LEDs I will put into the game if I have enough. I have my little paper here that I'm writing down all parts used so I can charge the customer accordingly. Generally, I won't put LEDs like in the score reels, and sometimes I will. It depends on the game. Sometimes we have dirty sockets. Yeah, look at all the corrosion on this one. It's pretty nasty. We can rub this on a towel to try to get some of that schmutz off. If it's nasty in the socket, we would also want to get our socket cleaning stick, but there is definitely something goofy going on. The score motor just turned again, and it's still not showing game over. Okay, what is going on here? This is fun. There's actually a problem now. I do like that. What is on? The game over relay is on, but the first ball relay is on also. All right, let's do a little bit of searching now. I'm all over the place today, sorry. But let's see what we can get. Y'all are schmutzing now. Relays. Last ball relay. First ball relay. 14D. The first ball relay is titled what? U. So the U relay will activate for all sorts of stuff. Great. This one might be a little out of my, it holds itself on motor 1B, D, E, and R. What are those? D is the 500-point relay. What? I mean, I guess it changes something depending on if it's the first ball or not. This is where we need the wonderful David Valansky to come in here and tell us how to accurately diagnose the problem. It runs through the AX relay, which is the reset control relay. So a lot of games will have a first ball or last ball relay because it will change maybe some scoring mechanic or something like that. Maybe it's schmutz on the switch. It's always just schmutz on the switch. Let's actually put this back into a non-service position, and I will get to this momentarily, or maybe off camera next weekend when I try to finish this project. But let's figure out, let's see if we can kind of poke around and then figure it out on the schematic. I do get nervous with some of the weird things going on this game. Or some of the weird things that have been wired in, but I also think a lot of those are quite innocent. I think, again, like one of the things was like maybe a coin counter to tell you how many multiplayer games have been played, because I do have another coin counter in this game that's hooked up to the second shoot relay, or maybe this game was a multi, like denominational currency kind of a game. Sometimes games would maybe, well, this isn't too late to do that, but some games will take like a dime or a quarter, and maybe the operator was trying to keep track of how many quarters there were put into the game. So the AX relay is a very complicated relay. It is the reset control relay. This thing latches in while the game does all sorts of complicated crap. I don't understand why it's routed that way, but that's why we need David. So this is what you would call an interlock relay. Let me bring the camera down a little bit so you can kind of see a different type of relay as well. Sorry, there's like no light to add to splash into the game. It's just as annoying for me as it might be for you. But you've got an interlock relay. That way, you can have a relay on for a long time without having to keep it powered on, if that makes sense. So when this is in one state, the relay pulls it in and it sits nice and closed. When it needs to turn this relay off, there is a second coil here that will energize and pull its armature in, which then releases this armature to be free once more. So it is a way of ensuring things stay shut, and then they can be triggered to turn off with another signal. I'm going to look at this relay stack really quick and see. I mean, some of these things are adjusted really damn close. Since I don't have light, it's really hard to see totally, but there are some of these things that are adjusted really danger close. The thing is, a lot of adjusting some of these small relays like this, you do need to have things adjusted danger close because the sway of the armature is so small. It's moving, you know, fractions of an inch, fractions of a millimeter even. Trying to see if I can see through the switches, and you kind of can. I don't like it. I'm also not really keen to mess with things without really knowing, you know, what and where the problem might be, which is why I might need to schedule David Valansky to come on to help me finish some of this stuff, so we can figure out why this first ball relay might be stuck on. Yeah, it's awfully hot. Let's see here. Let's just fiddle.
That switch is still not adjusted correctly. The reason I turned the game on and it just immediately started to reset was because I had the reset relay in its hey, do your thing position. So right now the reset relay is off because the latched relay is keeping it from being closed. If I pulled in this latched relay, it might try to reset again. No. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not being held in. So if I pulled it in, it's going to try to reset. But since the game is already in its reset state, it doesn't have to do anything. So I don't know if that's visible on the camera at all. I'm sorry about the angles today, but you can see if I push this down, then this relay armature pulls that out when it's done and lets it reset. So I think this relay is actually okay. This is adjusted fine. The first ball relay is now, you know, in play. It is good. The game is now in a really weird state. It thinks it's on player 3. Oh boy, what did we do to this thing? Let's find out. Let me turn this off again, turn it back on. Let's actually start a game. It's resetting the player unit to where it needs to be. It is now on ball 1, player 1. The ball has passed through, and now we're live. We've got flippers working, etc. So we're good. We are scoring. Let us hit a rollover switch at the top. 500 points. We now have a 1 bonus, so I'm going to drain the ball. It's done its thing. We hit this again. It is now on ball 1, player 1 still, because it didn't step fully. We know that's still a problem. But did the first ball relay de-energize? No, it is still energized. Well, but that's also because it hasn't stepped fully. So let's ensure that it is now on player 1, ball 1, for whatever reason. Needs a little extra help. It is still energized, but are we still on ball 1? No, we are on ball 2. OK, so there is definitely something going on here that we need to decipher. I definitely want to start poking around, but I also want it to be educational if we can figure out what is wrong. I don't want to sit and read a schematic on the stream where I might not actually be productive. So
I might put in a request for next week to have David Valansky come on, or maybe at some point to figure that out. If we don't do it on stream, I'll try to inform you what it is, but that's kind of where we're at right now. We're kind of in a weird spot time-wise, right, with like 40 minutes left before I have to go. But yeah, I also kind of want to not work on EMs on the stream next time. I'm so close to being done with this thing. There's just a couple little adjustments to continue doing. Then I can get it to the customer. We do have more games to work on. So that Baywatch is coming soon. I know that's been a meme for a while on this stream. I am going to look at the schematic for just one more second here. D, E, and R. D is 500 points, E is 500 point and add bonus, and the R relay is the hold relay. H, what is H? H is the tilt hold relay. H has a make break. What is T? T is the tilt relay, right? T is tilt, so that's normally closed. If the tilt relay opens, when the plumb bob hits, the tilt relay latches, and that will open a switch, which does that, I think. What's the C relay? Spin target relay. I don't know what that has to do. U. What's the Q or an O? Q, game over relay. Okay, well that's what we didn't mess with the game over relay. But the game over relay works because the game does end. Anyways. Let's talk about you guys. How's it going? I'm going to refill my screw container, and I'm going to change cameras here real quick. What are all you wonderful peoples doing this weekend? Any pinball-related things? Any fun-related things? I like fun-related things. My lovely mother-in-law is in town from Southern California. So I am going to be hanging out with them this weekend, my wife and mother-in-law. It'll be fun. I'm going to put my screws away here really quick and kind of continue thinking about this problem. I know that there's something we can definitely action on, which would be mess with the rear stepper, but it's also beverage time. Also, sometimes, even though I haven't really dived into it, sometimes the best medicine, oh, I'm not even centered. Gosh, this is terrible. Sometimes the best medicine for these sorts of problems, or like troubleshooting sorts of things, is stepping away for 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, and then trying to come back and solve the problem again the next day. Don't always have the luxury of doing stuff like that, but when you do, it is nice. Water, delicious. I have a lot of organization to do on my pinball stuff, maybe this weekend. I'm going to try to get my piles of parts and playfields and boards and blah, blah, blah in some sort of a semblance of order so I can once again use my pinball room for leisure. I've had all sorts of people want to come over and play games, and I just am embarrassed to have people come into like a blast zone of pinball parts, so definitely need to do that eventually. All right, it all almost fits in this box. And you got to use your nice 1 1/4 inch rubber to hold your overstuffed plastic box shut. You know. Whew. It is also quite hot in here. All right. Pinball Gramps says he's doing fantastic. What about the rest of you? Let's do some pinball questions. I had a funny pinball trivia I'm sad that Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf is no longer here with us because this one was going to be directed towards him, but now I don't remember what the trivia was. So give me a second while I think. It was, I'm not going to remember. Oh, yeah, it was, I did an interesting thing. I learned that Williams was the first company to use score reels for scoring, right? In the early days of pinball, there would be just scores on the back glass that were illuminated. So when a stepper would move up progressively, it would change it from, change values. And then Williams thought it would be really cool to use score reels. I think, I forget what the name of the game was, the first game to use score reels. But it was funny because Williams used score reels only for a few years, or I'm sorry, a few games. And then for the next couple games, they went back to using the lights on the back glass. And then Williams made their first 4-player game in the 1955, and then they brought the score reels back. So I forgot. I know Jack Danger and I were talking about this game once. It's called 9 Sisters or something like that. Nine Sisters has a really unique playfield layout for a 50s game. I mean, actually a lot of the 50s games are very unique, but Harry Williams was a genius. When was the last time Kyle wore a hat on PinTech Live? I think I wore a Buc-ee's hat once for a while. That was kind of funny. M. Kunzelman says, if no one else has anything, which they don't, thank you for asking another question. My contact gets 1 credit on startup. I have no idea how. Where would I even start to look? I don't know how the coin unit works. Is it just the switch that sticks, or is the button being open closed? Wait, Contact is it's a solid state game, right? You're talking about like the early Williams game? That's the one you've been working on for a while, right? If it is, the easiest way to see what's going on, or at least know where your problem is just unplug the coin door and then turn the game on. Yeah, unplug the coin door. And if you turn the game on and it doesn't have a credit, then you have a short or the switch is stuck closed. Remember, those early Williams games have the most BS awful coin door or coin switch actuators. They're terrible. And they're very easy to mangle, and they're always mangled. When games started going into homes, right, people just open it up and go and add credits, and they would always get mangled up. So, actually, yeah, no, there is free play. Well, okay, I don't know if there's free play on System 3, but the way that you turn the older games to free play, the older Williams games, is you turn the maximum amount of credits to 0. And that will trick the game into just starting a game when you have 0 credits, which is fine. The way we do it on the old Bally games, if you have stock hardware, is to just set the replay threshold to 10,000 points, which is almost impossible to not score. You tried setting the maximum credits to 0? That sounds weird. It should work. Silly games. Should be doing what you're telling them to do. Look for a short though, or just make sure that the switch isn't mangled shut. That would do it. I don't remember if the Williams games would. I think if a switch is stuck shut, it will only register at one time. So what I'm thinking is that one of them is stuck shut or it's shorted, and right when the game turns on and it starts reading inputs, it's seeing it closed, it's registering that one input, and then it just goes on its merry way. I don't think it would read another input until you either open that switch, and close it again. We could test it. I could go My Jungle Lord. We could mess with it. I need that run credit. Fix the problem and then pull the batteries out and try setting the maximum amount of credits to 0 and see if that makes it work. Colin Backs 1 says, K-Dog, have you ever played a Thoroughbred? I don't know. Maybe. Let me go wash my hands, and then I can look up on my phone to see what that game is, and we can play the Has Kyle Ever Played This Game Before game. I think it's a Gottlieb game. I don't know if my mic works all the way in the kitchen. And take one paper towel. I took half of a paper towel. Is it a Williams game? Or, I'm sorry, a Gottlieb game? Colin Baxter? Thoroughbred pinball. Yes, it is. Thoroughbred. Thoro. I don't know if I've ever played that game. 60s game? Everyone look this up with me. It's actually great. This is a very South Carolina looking thing. It's like a bunch of fancy rich people riding horses, probably hunting foxes or something weird like that. What does the playfield look like? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever played that game. Unless that center pop bumper is unique. I have played a game with that center bumper that has like 6 switches all around it. That's pretty cool. Why are you asking? Are you purchasing one? Theme, sports, fox hunting, horses. That's a neat looking game. I love me a Gottlieb game. Getting one tonight. Nice. How many EMs do you have? Thankfully, it's an old game too, so it's not extremely complicated like the one that I am fiddling with here. Uh-oh. I just realized I'm missing a nut driver. Dun dun dun. I know where I left it because I think I was using it at the arcade yesterday when I rebuilt the one pop bumper on my Deadpool. The yoke snapped, and then when it snapped, it also took the rod and ring with it. So it's kind of annoying. So thankfully, it was an easy one to get to. Deadpool is easy to work on. Great game. But yeah, good for you, adding another game to the stable. How fun. I'm going to step into the back of this game now that we are not getting a massive influx of questions. So let's continue fiddling a little bit. Oh, wait. I also have to change cameras again. That one, and then this one, we want that one. Old School EM says, the smart set I have, the hold coil caught ablaze, and your first fire. Ooh, that sucks. That's never fun. Oh, I need a screwdriver. I've actually been really bad about keeping my tools in line lately. I'm upset at myself now that I left one of my precious nut drivers at a location, but also, not only that, but I think I have lost my favorite vice grips. And I wasn't upset about it until I realized I may have just left another tool somewhere, and now I'm mad. I need to go and see if I can buy this really small, funny, angled set of vice grips I used to have somewhere. Why the heck aren't you stepping? Feels kind of tight. Sorry, let me make sure the camera's looking at what I'm looking at or something so you guys aren't bored as can be. Did I grease these cams? Yeah, that's fresh grease, so I definitely did grease those a bit. There's a lot of tension on this unit, right? You've got friction and resistance from this board here, which I may have set really tight. There's not a lot of play. I don't know if it needs to have that much play. But it is not passing my actual test. If I slam this thing, it works okay, but it's slow. I should be able to just slowly touch this and it should step. Oh, the evil pawl with the shoulder screw is really tight. That could be part of the problem. It's really easy to break that. There's a pawl that's pinned through the unit. There's a nut back here, and a lot of people forget the nut's there because they see this gigantic, sorry, this is stuck. I'm trying to get it to pivot again. There's this gigantic screw here, and people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to loosen it, and it snaps, and it's a very unique shoulder screw. I'm going to get some, I'm going to get an open-end wrench here, and I'm going to crack it and see if it's just too tight. Oh, hey, look at all these people talking now. Daniel says, oh, that just fell. I have 3 playfields for parts of Gottlieb's Spring Break, Williams Fire, and the X-Force Technoplay. Nice. Oh, I love hanging beat-up playfields on the wall. They're great. Technoplay X-Force. If you want to see a really unique, rare European game, look up Technoplay X-Force on YouTube, and you can probably find Daniel's videos of him playing his, which is kind of cool. Hey, I'm not in the business of breaking stuff today. Sorry. What I am going to do, though, is I am going to put my wrench on it. I'm going to hit it with the screwdriver and loosen it and tighten it. Let's see. I think that this thing was moving a lot freer at one point, and now it's not moving very free at all, and that's where our problem exists. I do remember when I got to this unit, we were taking it apart, and I saw that it was fine. It was just working, right? It was moving, and I neglected to take that unit, that piece off, just because it is kind of a pain. But now it is actually coming back, and it is definitely the problem that exists here. This pawl that I am focusing on, which you kind of you can't see because the camera is in the wrong spot. This guy here needs to float freely, and you can see when I push it, it definitely does not float freely anymore. And that is absolutely where our problem is coming from, because as it's supposed to work in unison with this unit, it is not. And it is not allowing it to step up as free as it should. So I might be able to do some, I might be able to service it like quickly, and I might be able to just remove the shoulder screw, create a little bit of gap here, and try to introduce a teeny bit of grease. Unfortunately, actually, I do not have my box with the grease in it, so that is not going to happen today, but I will try to free it. So let me get this out of the way so I can try to free it. We're not going to break it as much as some of you want me to. If I broke it, I would just be game over. I'd be all grumpy in the stream, walk away dejected. Be careful when you're working or removing this nut. I can't tell you how many times I have dropped it into the cabinet and also made myself quite mad. Maybe I don't need to remove it all the way either. Let's try getting it back in place now that I've kind of moved it. I remember we oiled it. I definitely remember not dumping, but putting a decent amount of oil in there and trying to get it to work free. And then it worked its way free, and I was like, oh yeah, hey, this is fine. We don't need to do anything to it. Maybe, just maybe, we tightened it too much. There's a nut on the back that keeps it in place, right? And then the actual shoulder screw is threaded through the bracket. So if it was also tightened down much too tight, it would do something similar to pinching it, but it definitely felt sticky to me. Not necessarily like it was being pinched, but who knows? Sometimes you take things apart, put it back together, and it magically starts to work better. Give me a sec while I try to tighten this up. It moves a lot freer. Oh, but it's also loosey-goosey. Let me tighten this down. I think as I was tightening it, it loosened up a teeny bit. Fine adjustments. Yeah, it needs a little bit of lubrication between the screw and the actual unit, but I will need to tighten that down. But for now, let's see if this thing actually steps better since it's a teeny bit freer. I'm going to tighten it up on this end though. Well, hopefully that part works better. Once I get that part dialed in, it would just take a teeny bit of lubrication. It'll be fine. But also kind of want to look at all of these switches and make sure that they all close. But we could have a teeny bit of an odd logic problem that might have something to do with that first ball relay. I'm really confused as to why this unit, where like the fourth player lights aren't coming on. But I'm also not in the biggest troubleshooting mode right now either. It is kind of the end of the week. It's been a long one. A little tired. So let's just finish sitting down. I'm going to write a note on my paper that says, remember to lube, clean and lube. But for now, this thing is definitely, it's passing the test, right? Letting the spring reset it and work its way through the step. The game would never actuate this as slow as it is, and it's working better now. Aren't electromechanical computers fun? They are. But anyways, I think the other problem here, one of the reasons I haven't, this goes a bit slower too, is just the actual like rate that I have to work on it too, you know? When you're, oh gosh. that. When you have to work on these things so as slow as I am, just because I do it once a week, you kind of forget little problems here and there, and I definitely I wouldn't be jumping around so much if I was doing it more shop and methodical like. I just have not had a lot of time to work on games in the last 6 months. What time is it? Hey, look, it's almost the end of the day. Yeah, I leave my tools everywhere. Put a towel in the hole. That's true. You absolutely should do that. Yes, I was off on Monday, but it doesn't matter if I was off on Monday. It's still been a long week. Pin Guy has a long question. I'm going to read it out. I have a question on playfield restoration. The previous owner of my machine decided that they wanted to attempt to paint some of the worn areas and painted a couple of small sections with paint you would use for a model. Thoughts of the best way to remove it? Thankfully, he gave up after a couple small sections. Well, is it like a water-based paint? I mean, tips on how to remove it? Gosh, I wouldn't even know where to begin, to be honest. I do not do a lot of playfield restoration. I mean, I'll do very simple things. I do have a little bit of talent with a paintbrush, being able to paint circles and black things, not like actual art. But Kester paint, oh yeah, it is, yeah, sorry. Yeah, they are enamel paints. And honestly, that's what I do use to touch up playfields and stuff like that, is some of my model paints. I'll use it to touch up cabinets. I have some one-shot paint that I use on cabinets because of my sign painting days way back in the day. But I would not really know how to remove that, no. I think the thing is like, yeah, sanding would be the way to do it, but it depends on how much damage there is, and at the end of the day, look, like the reason I don't do any of that stuff is it turns into a snowball effect. You know, I mean, you're going to sand away part of that area, and then what do you do after? Like, are you going to be able to reproduce it well? Or is it something you might just want to sigh and, you know, well, it doesn't need to be perfect for me to enjoy it, and then just enjoy the game. Yeah, I don't know. That is a hard thing. I have a high hand right over there that's still wrapped up from when I bought it in Pennsylvania last year, and someone did like a mediocre spray job on it for like a clear coating job, and it's like, it kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, it's going to play nice and it's fine, even though there might be little dots and things in it which isn't great, but it's going to play nice, and that's all that matters to me. If the cosmetic bit actually matters to you, I would recommend finding like a talented artist. But the thing is like, if you're going to go through that much trouble, you're probably going to want to seal the whole thing when you're done too, right? You don't want just raw paint sitting on the wood and having the ball pound it. So it just, you know, how much work do you want to put into it? How much does it actually matter to you? Before that point, it's like maybe you just need to reconsider, well, maybe I need to put a new playfield in it, right? So the cosmetic stuff is not my favorite. I'm kind of vocal about it, so it's probably not any news to most of you that listen to me talk every week. But old school EMs is right too. I mean, if you just need to change, thank you, it's raised a little. I appreciate the advice. Okay, I'm sorry, I kind of gave you non-advice, but I'm glad that, I mean, maybe some of that was helpful. But old school EMs is also right. Depending on color, etc., you could just paint over it. That's something else. But if it's raised, I guess it's maybe a texture thing. Maybe they didn't lay the paint down flat enough. That would be more difficult, because if you had to come in with anything abrasive, you definitely risk damaging areas around it. So I miss painting models. I used to build models a lot, and that's why I wish I don't have time to do anything anymore. I don't have time to work on pinball anymore. I need to motivate myself. I have so many projects I need to kind of get moving. I'm going to finish Hotline soon. My friend who also owns the arcade downtown, is a talented woodworker. He's going to help me come in and sand down the shooter lane on Hotline and then kind of lacquer over that. So I'll be able to put that back together and play it one day. I keep joking about it, but I do feel like I need to just sell a bunch of my games. The problem is I like them all too much, and I'll never be able to get them again if I actually sold anything. So, test a bit of naphtha. Yeah, naphtha could break down some of that enamel paint for sure, but again, just definitely, it always makes me nervous because you don't want to affect or damage anything else surrounding, you know? But yeah. Naphtha, the wonder chemical. What have you guys got going on pinball-wise this weekend? Come on. Anyone going to play any games? Anyone going to the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show in Tacoma, Washington? I know Old School EMs will be. That's a really fun show. Definitely one of the best events of the year for certain. Delicious water. We're going to do the Formula One chat, even though Fliptronic is not here, but the Monaco Grand Prix was kind of exciting. It rained, so they didn't let anyone race for a long time, which was weird, but you know, the glitz and glamour of Monte Carlo is always exciting, especially when there's a bunch of rich guys driving around in fast cars. Going to work on a whirlwind with reset issues. That's fun. Discs of Tron. I've never really got into Discs of Tron. I guess I enjoy it though. I guess I've never just really, every time I'm around one, I never seek one out. But that sounds good. Tomorrow after work, I'll be doing a quick power supply rebuild on a Data East Jurassic Park that's having reset issues, or not reset issues, but power on issues that just comes down to bulging capacitors and a burnt connector on the AC input. So whip that out in hopefully like 20, 30 minutes, get paid, then go home. But thankfully it's in a place with good beer, so I can have a good beer while I bust the solder sucker out and fix that all up. So, yeah. What else is going on this weekend, pinball-wise? I mean, there's the big show. I guess that big crazy tournament happened. The World IFPA tournament. That's pretty neat, especially if you're a tournament person. Last weekend, I was the guest on a pinball podcast, which was also fun. I'm not going to say which one it is just because I don't know if they want me to say, but it was fun. They're fun people. Hopefully that'll be out soon, and I won't listen to it because I can't stand listening to my own voice. But we definitely talked about the rumor mill a little bit, teeny bit. Definitely talked about that IFPA, the worldwide finals tournament, which is kind of cool. The Pinball Asylum in Florida looks like a neat place. Still never been to Florida. Definitely want to go one day. I'd like to go to the Free Play Florida event. That seems really neat. But yeah. I can't think of any other crazy things going on in pinball right now. There's not a lot of news. There's a weird cryptic thing on the Deeproot website. Has anyone seen that? I have a great radio face. Thank you, Dreger. I actually had a radio show when I was in college. I don't think any of it's online, so I don't mind saying the name, but it was fun. Hold on, let me make sure it's not online before I say the name. Because I don't want to incriminate or dox myself. I mean, I guess you guys know enough about me anyways. Hold on, one more check. Yeah, okay. So I had a radio show called Boring Core when I was in college on KSFS, San Francisco State radio station, and I just played a bunch of really dumb music and was a not obnoxious, but a music snob, kind of 18, 19-year-old. So, but it was late night radio. We would friends would come on and we just play, snobby, elitist music, BS. Lots of ambient and noisy kind of music, as 18-year-olds are, and that's why we called it boring core, hardcore, boring music, ambient, boring core. Anyways, but that was fun. I definitely told everyone on the radio very often that I had a face for radio, and that's why I was on the radio. But now, look, I'm on Twitch, so. I'm afraid I'm a rambling man. I'm rambling a little too much. And for time, it's about the end of the show, which is how I know I'm rambling too much. Let's see who's streaming really quick, and we can pre-plan a raid. Twitch. Well, isn't that sad? No one's streaming. Thank you for thanking me for streaming. I hope that it was slightly enjoyable. But yeah, there's definitely no pinball-y things going on right now. I mean, I will wait until exactly 5 o'clock my time to see if Manu starts streaming. Oh, people enjoy this? Thank you. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I enjoy doing it 99% of the time. Thank you for saying I'm the best. I am afraid you are probably embellishing a little bit. Yeah, we'll give it a few more minutes. I want to make sure that we can pass on all 30 or whatever of y'all on Twitch over to someone else, especially if it's Manu, because I don't know if you guys actually stay online to watch when we raid sometimes, but man, that guy is incredible and he's hilarious. Makes your Thursday fly by? Oh, that's great. It also makes my Thursday fly by because it's my excuse to not be in the office all day. And I also get to do something I quite enjoy until it frustrates me. That's why I definitely want David on next time, since we do have a logic issue with this game now. So I might put it aside for a minute. I need to finish all the actual work I need to do before I might need someone's help. I also might just come in here and blast it out and tell you what I did, but I would like to move this on to the customer. He doesn't care how long it's taking, but I want to get it to him as fast as possible. So, I'd like to work on Vector a little, but that needs a lot of pre-work that has to be done off stream because I don't want to lay Mylar down and stuff on stream. It's not, when I feel like I have to talk, I'll make mistakes. What else? Viking has a light or two out, I think, and I don't remember what I did. Maybe I want to pull that out, actually, and make sure we have everything on that working perfectly. I do want to start working on Baywatch as our next big project, though, because that'll be a multi-spanned episode, or not episode, but a multi-spanning project, right? We're going to be, we'll put that in between other little things here and there, I guess. I have a new DMD for it that hopefully works. I just need to hope that when it gets shipped from my mom's house in California that it will be in good shape when it gets across country. Have you recently had any repairs that really stumped you? No, not recently. Everything I've been doing lately is kind of boring procedural stuff, fixing power supplies, repainting connectors. Oh, magically the game starts working again, and then it's all standard from there. Make sure things are tight, clean, ensure it works. I also haven't been doing a lot of side repairs like I normally do, just so I have more time at home to relax, especially with the insane travel schedule I've had the last couple months. It feels nice to not have to be going out and working a lot. That being said, I know I mention it all the time, but my gig in Savannah, I want to get back on that, so I can keep working on those games at the Graveface Museum and Arcade. Eternal Grimmy says, first you need to get all the sand out of it. That will help. Baywatch definitely came pre-made with sand. It would be nice to have weird Italian pinball to repair on live stream, but I do not have any weird Italian pinballs, unfortunately. Actually, well, I have Spanish pinball, but those work. What pinball do you hate working on the most? This was a hard question that was actually posed to me on the podcast I did, because it was like, what game do you hate, what game do you love? And I really don't hate anything that much, but what do I hate working on, though? Generally, I hate working on Data East games. Just for some reason, they're always at least 60 to 75% of the time, they're in much worse condition than a comparable Williams game of the era. I don't know why. I don't know, like, maybe they were cheaper, or like operators like routed them longer, and they just were. It seems like so many Data East games were just really, really poorly taken care of, and it's more often than not like they're just awful. It's not like anything against like the games themselves or how they're built, because they're actually built okay. There's some things in them that are really stupid, like the up kicker plungers and the way they interact with the switch annoys me. There's too many circuit boards. Like the flipper board is annoying. The PPB boards are annoying, and there's just so I guess like I kind of have to roll my eyes when I have to work on Data East games sometimes, because they're frustrating. But I mean, they're all still standard. Gottlieb System 3 game or Gottlieb System 1 games I don't like working on, mostly because like it's a lot of board swapping, and they can be headache inducing. System 80 games are headache inducing, but I don't hate working on them. System 3 games are a little weird. I don't know. It's a hard question, I guess. Everything kind of sucks in its own way. Eternal Grimmy said, it seemed like most of the wire-based structures on the play field got bent easy. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a material issue. I think that those games they were built very well, but they're just always torn up. I don't know what it is, improper parts put back into them, and maybe that's the other thing too. It's like just part of the market where collectors or whatever really focused on the Williams games. So there's a lot more Williams games that have kind of been brought up to snuff, possibly easier to get parts for to an extent. And over the past 10 years working on the Data East games, you're kind of getting the dregs of things, But yeah, I don't know. I don't really hate anything. I love pinball too much, so. JG, yeah, your favorite games. It's easier to say the things I like more than the things I hate, just because I like pinball too much. But I don't really have any like irrational hates. I mean, some things it's like I hate working on Data East Turtles. I don't know why. That game just annoys me. I hate working on Williams Doctor Who. I hate that game. It's annoying. But I also love it. It's a really fun game to play, right? So I can fight it either way. a lot of the late System 11 games, I don't like working on those. I know they can be frustrating in their own way also. A lot of those games are very complicated, but there's no way to get the playfield in like a good service position, like the early Bally game or the early WPC games also, how they just pivot instead of with those really elaborate, amazing service rails where you can bring them forward and then pivot them backwards. So I don't like, it's annoying when you have to work on those games. With my size also, my height, I have to bend over and use weird body mechanics. It makes me sore. I don't know. Like these are the irrational things that I don't like about working on some of these things. Dragger hated Stranger Things when it first came out, but he loves it. Well, I'm sorry, you're so wrong. That game rules all the way around. But I'm glad you've turned around to enjoy that game 100% now. I really love that game. It's got a great theme integration. It's a really, really good game. I would like to own one day. My friend Mike Vinicor worked on that game a lot. And when I went to go stay with him for a couple weeks in Chicago last month, we spent a lot of time playing down in his basement. And him showing me a lot of the rules and stuff, like it made me enjoy that game even more. To have the guy that came up with all that stuff, actually tell you what and how to do some of these things, it was great. Eternal Grimmy says, my most satisfying hate is my irrational hate. Yes, yeah, we get along in that, or we have that same brainwave there. Dent0123 says, I've heard that Whitewater and Whirlwind are some of the most difficult machines to repair because of limited space and mechanisms or the back of the playfield. Yeah, absolutely. It's really annoying. The harnesses are just a little too short to be able to like put a table next to the game, lift the playfield out, and work on it on like a table upside down too. But I actually kind of don't like Whitewater either. It's a really unpopular opinion, but so many people are like, oh, that's my favorite game ever. That game and Fishtails. And like, I like Fishtails more than I like Whitewater, but I don't get that game. I don't really, people like go gaga over it, and I don't understand the massive Whitewater fan club. It's just kind of like, whatever, it's just another pinball game to me. What about Bonsai Run? Is that fun to service? Yeah, actually it is. It's pretty cool. It's difficult, right, in its own way, but it's not like, the fun thing is like for the back box, they actually made it very easy to service. You still run into the same annoyances like where you cannot access the back of the playfield very much, but thankfully there's not a ton at the back of that playfield. So, Dragger also isn't a huge fan of Fishtails. Fishtails actually, I've come around to like that game a lot more lately, but for a long time, I just didn't understand the massive amount of love for it. I like that game now. The best thing you could do to a Fishtails is get rid of those garbage lightning flippers. Those things are the worst. I don't care. I'm stock. I'm Mr. Factory, right? Everything needs to be original. If I had a game with lightning flippers, immediately off. Put real flippers on it, and you're good. Huh. Whirlwind with GI problems? I mean, thankfully, all the GI stuff is just on that auxiliary power supply, though, right? So at least it's centralized. At least you could swap a board and figure out, like, is it the board or is it the playfield itself? Haunted house is another problem to work on. Yeah, well, yeah, Haunted House is its own set of headaches too, but it's, I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I respect that game a lot. I think it's really cool. It is difficult to get the playfield. The annoying thing to me is getting the playfield in the right spot to have everything line up when you close it. That's one thing. It has been fun. Thank you for joining. Goodbye. I'm going to go check the streams going right now so we can also raid so I can finish up. We've been going over a little bit. Yeah, Daniel just did a crazy restoration on Fishtails. That's really cool. And where's Emoto? Emoto is in Washington at the Emoto is in Washington at the, what's it called? Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show. So, why is there a Rush Pro and Premium in the same room? Because they're both here, so we can play them. I did videos with Stern Pinball for both of those games. With the Pro, wait, what did we do? With the Pro, I think we sat down with George Gomez and talked about Insider Connected. Or no, that was with Godzilla. We did two videos though. I think on the Premium I sat down with no, okay. On the Pro I sat down with John Borg and Tim Sexton, and we talked about the game. And then on the Premium I sat down with Elliot, the engineer who did a lot of the work on the mechanical bits. Yeah. On Godzilla for the Pro, I sat down with George Gomez, I think, and we talked about Insider Connected. And then with the Premium, I sat down with Harrison Drake, and we did an overview of all that stuff. I'm a loyal Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 enjoyer, so I'm going to send y'all to raid Manu. Let me remember how to do that. /raid MPT3K. All right, y'all. Thank you. It's always fun. Sorry, I'm still tired and overwhelmed, so I kind of rambled a lot today. But I think we all learned a little bit of something, right? Still have some problems to work out, but we might switch up the flavor for next week. Maybe we'll do some silly stuff on Viking and figure out why one of the lights isn't working and do that. Thank you guys for joining me, because if y'all weren't here, I wouldn't do it. So it's really you guys that are the champions here. So anyways, we're gonna go raid Manu, Mystery Pinball Theater 3000. Tell him I said hi. And since I'm wearing my Jack Danger hat, good night, Internet.